Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be going through your worst or maybe even best EU4 hot takes. Now, inspired by a video I watched from MKBHD a couple of days ago where he went through the worst hot takes in tech, I decided to take inspiration from that and do a similar video but relating to EU4, and I made a community post over on YouTube asking you for your best or worst EU4 hot takes, and most of them, or maybe even all of them depending on how much they are, will be featured in this video right here. So let's go through your guys' hot takes and I'll tell you if I agree with them, disagree with them, if they're even hot takes, or maybe they're just popular opinions that you guys think are hot takes. Either way, without further ado, here they are. So this is the first one right here by RoboCobb, and he says colonial independence should be a unique mechanic with special events in the 1700s leading up to a big transcontinental war. Now, I can't say I've seen this opinion too many times, and I don't really know if it's a hot take. Of course, a hot take is something that's unpopular, and I don't know how unpopular this is, but you know what? I actually agree with this right here, man. Colonial independence, it's definitely a very lackluster thing over in EU4. Colonies rarely break free. Sure, there have been a couple of patches where lots of nations break free, but you know, even if you play that far into the 1800s, you rarely see nations breaking free, and I do think that that could be spiced up quite a lot. Now we have this guy right here saying winning wars is far too hard and rebuilding armies is far too easy. Most wars in the early modern period were decided by the occupation of a dozen or so forts or a single-digit number of big battles. I shouldn't have to full occupy a jump to take the Balkans from Ottomans. Losing an army of 25k in 1450 usually meant the end of your ability to fight. See Battle of Varna. Yeah, so this is sort of a two-parter right here. I disagree with the first part, so that definitely is a hot take right here from this person. Winning wars is far too hard. I don't think so. I don't think winning wars is far too hard. In fact, depending on which difficulty you play, winning pretty much any war is maybe even a bit too easy. Of course, I play on normal in my videos to make it more relevant for you guys, but yeah, I haven't played on hard in quite a while, so I don't know. Rebuilding armies is far too easy. If you have the manpower, sure, and if you have the money to recruit mercs, sure, but starting off with a small nation, really hard war, it does take a couple of years, maybe even a decade to get your stuff back. But yeah, with the rest of this right here, I agree, you shouldn't have to full occupy a jom to take the Balkans from the Ottomans. Then we have this comment right here, and Banar is a vastly underrated and underplayed mod in the EU4 community with much more interesting mission trees, lore, and gameplay mechanics than vanilla EU4. Would love it if you can make an updated video covering the mod sometime. Unfortunately, I don't do mod videos anymore, maybe in the future, but I don't think this is true. And Banar is not underrated and underplayed in my opinion. In fact, it is one of the most popular mods out there for EU4, so yeah, this definitely isn't a hot take. I feel like this is the complete opposite. I don't think it's underrated or underplayed at all. This guy says, from a historical viewpoint, AI colonizes Australia way too fast while the actual riches of India AI doesn't care for. Yeah, once again, this isn't really a hot take. This is a pretty popular opinion in the EU4 community that the AI focuses, as it should, on the New World, basically on North America and South America, but it focuses too much on Africa and Australia, whereas it doesn't focus enough on India. So yeah, a little elaboration there from me, but yeah, this is something I agree with. This person right here says the original terrain system from 1.0 to 1.7 was better than the current system. Every province had like 3 different terrain types with a % chance to hit all terrain types. It made combat more strategic because you had to think about the risk reward of hitting a good or bad terrain type. It also made maneuver useful on generals because maneuver increased the chances of getting favorable terrain. But of course, it was completely unplayable for multiplayer. Yeah, I would say this is definitely a hot take right here. I haven't really seen anyone say anything about the terrain type, and as unique and strategic as this is for combat, at least in single player, I can definitely see why they removed it. You know, you can make more calculations in advance, building defensive terrain, you know, which provinces to dev and stuff like that with a single terrain type, and yeah, of course, it's unplayable for multiplayer. This person right here says westernization was a better mechanic than institutions, made it so tech discrepancies between culture types were much more drastic, and it's too easy to stay up to date on tech anywhere around the world. Definitely a hot take right here. I don't think westernization was better than institutions. In fact, I remember this so vaguely I couldn't tell you a single thing about it, but the second part right here I do agree with. It's too easy to stay up to date in tech. This person says AI vassals are programmed to start getting themselves killed when the game feels you're doing too well. Well, this is definitely a hot take if I've ever seen one, but no, that's definitely not the case, I feel like. This person says, oh my god, dude, I knew I was gonna see this. This is definitely a hot take, at least for me. Maybe not in the EU4 community, but for me. This person says there should be a population mechanic in EU4. It will make the game much more immersing. And for me, let me tell you straight up, no, bro, no. By now, it's like 90% certain that EU4 will have pops, kind of like Victoria and Imperator Rome. Something I personally don't want to see in the game at all, but it's very certain that we'll get it. So definitely a popular opinion in the community, definitely a hot take for me. I don't want to see pops in EU4. This person says Mandate isn't as annoying as everyone says it is, and it's actually fun to manage and give you something to do after being the #1 great power for so long. Definitely a hot take in the EU4 community. Most people don't like the Mandate. I, however, agree with this person. The Mandate isn't annoying. I think it's a fun way to play in that region. This person says if a nation surrenders unconditionally, it should get some bad debuff, like a lot of separatism, increased autonomy, change, less tax, etc., because you're literally surrendering your nation. I haven't actually seen this opinion before, I don't think so. Could be a hot take right here, but I do agree with this. Yeah, I do think they should get bad debuffs. This person says Aragon is more enjoyable than Castile when you want to form Spain. You know what? This is sort of, I would say it's a 60-40 in the community, Castile versus Aragon. For me, Aragon, yeah, I do think it is a little bit more fun than Castile, so I have to agree right there. This person says it's actually fun to play as Southeast Asian nations. All right, bruh. All right, I'm a little triggered here. Which Southeast Asian nations? The ones in the peninsula, like, you know, in the Siam region, or maritime Southeast Asia? Because all those islands and all those boats and all those transports, no, that's not fun for me at all. Or is Ayutthaya or Cambodia? Hell yeah. This person says EU4 becomes less enjoyable the better you are at it. The first few hundred hours are the best part of the game. I can't say I agree with this, honestly, because for me personally, starting off with EU4 and maybe other Paradox games I've tried, it's frustrating for me at the beginning when I don't know everything, right? But I feel like it's sort of like this, right? It's like this, you know, you start off not enjoyable because you don't know how to play it, then enjoyment goes up as you get the hang of things, then maybe it levels off a bit or even goes down, but by the time you get to learn new things, more advanced strategies and stuff like that, I do think it does get more fun, of course depending on your playstyle. So a mixed bag right here. This person says you should be able to dismantle forts in a peace treaty, and if you make someone break their alliance, they should not re-ally as soon as possible. Whole mechanic becomes mostly obsolete if you're not planning to attack a third party. I have seen this opinion a few times, and I do agree with the first part. You should be able to dismantle forts in a peace treaty, although this would be, I don't know how this would work in multiplayer, but for single player, definitely. And on the alliance thing, I do agree. When you make the AI break alliances, usually the royal marriage stays. They don't get a negative opinion of each other, and as soon as their truce is up, or maybe a year or two after, they just re-ally each other. So yeah, I agree with both of these points, in fact. Right here we have people want some kind of large empire decay mechanic to stop AI empires, but don't want to deal with one themselves. Now this I agree with. This I agree with 100%. Definitely a hot take right here. People do want a large empire decay mechanic to stop AI empires, and let me just stop right there. This is pretty much decadence, right? The decadence system that the Ottomans now have in place since domination, and sort of the disasters that Ming has related to the mechanics. So those are really the only two big empires that the AI has a possibility of collapsing. But it's true that they don't want to deal with one themselves. That's why no one wants to play with the Mandate. It's annoying to keep it up, you know, playing a Diplo game with Ming at the start. And, you know, I guess decadence is relatively easy to deal with, but yeah, I definitely agree with this entire thing. They do want this, they don't want to deal with it themselves. Although I feel like decadence is sort of a tester for EU5, and I feel like pretty much that sort of mechanic will be implemented into every single nation in EU5, where if you become, you know, a certain dev, a certain size, I feel like every nation will have the potential to collapse. And I am definitely excited to see that in EU5. Like I said, this isn't confirmed. No one has told me this. I just think that that's probably what's going to happen in EU5. This person says, let's be honest, sortition elections are pretty OP. All right, dude. I'm just going to skip past that one. I'm not even going to say anything. EU4 is similar to idle games in that we are constantly trying to gather resources over time while stacking many small bonuses together. Is it a hot take? Yeah, I feel like it is, and you know what? This isn't wrong. Whenever EU4 game is unhistorical, not sure what you mean by that, but yeah, I mean, how historical can it get? There's just so many more nations than Hoi4. It's not a World War II simulator. It's not a Age of Discovery or, you know, Renaissance era simulator. It is, you can't expect EU4 to go historical. There's just, I don't feel like there's a way for the AI to do it, honestly. This person says, Brandenburg is the most RNG-reliant nation. First, you need to wait for an event to give you a provinces. Well, at least they sped that up a little bit, and now you get it faster. Hope that the Pomeranian states aren't allied to Poland or Denmark, and hope Bohemia doesn't ally the remaining neighbors and Austria be friendly. Yeah, not the most RNG reliant nation, I'd say. There are definitely quite a few more RNG reliant, but yeah, there are a couple of things that you need to go right for you as Brandenburg in the first year or two. Otherwise, you do need to restart a couple of times. So, you know what? I agree with that. This person says naval and maritime ideas are pretty good, and I love using them when the situation is right. Also, naval professionalism should be a thing. Yes, definitely a hot take in the EU4 community. Everyone hates naval and maritime. However, I agree with this person. I agree with this person almost 100%. Naval and maritime are pretty good when the situation is right. So the most problems people have with these sort of bad idea groups like espionage, well, maybe espionage not so much now, but maritime and naval is, oh, they suck. Yes, hold up. Yes, they do suck compared to other mill idea groups and other diplo idea groups, but when the situation is right, they absolutely don't suck at all. You know, take for example my videos, right? In releasables, we play about 50 or 60 years in A to Z until a goal is accomplished. How much does it take? 100 years max. If naval and maritime help me accomplish my goal faster and in a more easier fashion, of course I'm gonna take them. I know I'm only playing 50 or 100 years. Why not get it done faster and easier, right? So you're definitely good when the situation is right. Sure, in a normal gameplay, you know, a world conquest to whatever, which is what is everyone's regular EU4 game apparently, sure, they're not good compared to, you know, quality, offensive, quantity, and stuff like that, diplo, influence. But yeah, when the situation is right, they're definitely good. EU4 is the pinnacle in terms of feature creep, so much that starting now as a novice feels entirely overwhelming. Yeah. I agree with that. There's new things always added, and if you haven't been keeping up with the game for years like I have, for example, it can get quite overwhelming. Mr. Battle Charge says, there should be a dynasty management mechanic. I'd enjoy managing my family and their many cousins to ensure my country's dynasty continues and their legitimacy and effect on the nation. I wouldn't say this is too much of a hot take, and I have seen lots of people, you know, request or want something like this, and honestly, I agree with it. I do think there should be some sort of dynasty thingy. But of course, you know, the main dynasty game is Crusader Kings 3, right? If you put all of that stuff over in EU4, you know, it just becomes, you know, one game. So what I think is there should be some sort of light dynasty thingy, you know, right? Without the intrigue and stuff like that from Crusader Kings, but you know, there should at least be like a family tree. You should be able to choose an heir, you know, disinherit, but, you know, see who gets next in line and stuff like that. So, yeah, I agree, but it should be light enough to where it's not a major focus, but just something you do on the side. Definitely not as big as CK3. Maybe I would say a quarter of the features that CK3 has to offer, or maybe like 30-40%. This person says, when I can't diplo vassalize a small nation in order to avoid fighting their allies because economic power compared to X is -78, and I'm like a 200 province great power and they're like a 5 province minor in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I agree. Does anyone even know what economic power compared to X is? I feel like no one does, and it's a really stupid thing. I agree. This person says, every idea involving naval superiority is overpowered and should be nerfed. People just don't want to lose their precious 5% discipline to stop getting their outdated galleys demolished by AI Great Britain. And a player of Great Britain has unbeatable navy because of ridiculous stacking modifiers plus the OP ideas. Definitely a hot take. I don't think every idea involving naval superiority is overpowered, but hey, you do you. This person says, later start dates should not have been left to perish, and in general, I find late game as fun as early game. Definitely a hot take right here, at least for me. I really don't care about the different start dates. In fact, one of the only reasons I don't play Crusader Kings 3 is the 2 start dates. Which one is the correct one, bruh? So I think EU4 should have only one start date, no other start dates. And by the way, it's almost a certainty that EU5 won't start in 1444, which is a shame. I do like 1444 quite a lot, November 11th. And unfortunately, I don't think EU5 will start on that date, but I guess I'll have to get used to it. Maybe I'm just too attached. This person says, innovative idea is the #1 idea group in the game. It just get overshadowed by other ideas due to their less subtle impact on the game. Definitely a hot take right here from this person. I wouldn't say it's the #1 idea group in the game, but I do feel like it's definitely not weak. And I feel like it's definitely overhated. This person says, having the AI target the player always makes the game a challenge to overcome, even if it's annoying. Yes, I agree that it does make it a challenge, but one more thing is that the AI definitely goes for the player, bro, and you can't tell me otherwise. This person says, AI ignores fort zones of control. One of the, you know, most popular opinions in the EU4 community that is just flat out wrong. AI does not ignore fourth zone of control, all right? It's been said a million times by experienced players, by veterans of the game, by the devs, by everyone, and if you figure out how those things work, and if you actually read up on it, and if you understand how the AI thinks, you will understand that the AI does not ignore fourth zone of control. Most likely, you just don't understand the fourth zone of control mechanics. It just is what it is. But yeah, definitely doesn't. This person says, old tech groups and westernization was a better system than institutions. Make no sense that everyone ends up having the same tech like game. Yeah, like I said, we already went through a comment like this, and I sort of half agree with it. I don't think westernization was better, but it does make no sense that everyone ends up having the same tech like game. AI should get call for peace or shouldn't if you're in their war but have no low war exhaustion. What? I don't really understand this. Sorry, word it better next time. I shouldn't have to siege down a super disloyal subject who has no desire to fight me to get high war score? Oh yeah, true. Yes, rebellious but still subjugated subjects. I feel like you shouldn't really have to fight them. It should be very little war score for them or something like that. I haven't seen this opinion quite a lot, but obviously lots of likes right here. I do agree with it. It's okay to not play optimally if you want to roleplay or have pretty borders or literally any reason. Yes, 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 yes. I don't know if this is a very hot take. It's definitely, I feel like, a hot-ish take in the EU4 community. And as someone who doesn't play optimally on purpose, so that's just not enjoyable to me. You know, I did get lots of flack for it in my earlier videos. I still get it sometimes. Oh, bro, you should have dev'd this province with mill. It's grain. Don't dev a mountain, blah, blah, blah. Build a fort here. Your stacks aren't optimized. Yeah, it's not enjoyable for me to play like that. Lots of people enjoy playing optimally, you know, especially MP players. I don't. So I definitely agree with this hard. This person says, when in literally every game, Ottomans are just huge and annoying and no one ever takes them down. It's just boring to encounter them as the final boss in every run. Even when you're on the other side of the world, they either rival you out of nowhere or they ally someone you have to fight and conquer. It isn't that they're hard to beat, but it's so tedious and annoying no matter how hard you beat them. They just get back up until the truce ends. Yeah, I agree with this, man. It's not hard. And sure, you would want them as a final game boss, you know, fighting someone at the end, blah, 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 but it's just annoying to fight them. Infinite manpower, infinite land, you know, even when their armies are supposed to be weak, they're not that weak if you haven't been focusing on mill ideas. So, you know what? I agree with this, man. This person says espionage and aristo ideas are actually great, especially after the latest updates. I'm almost always using them. Trade ideas are better than economic ideas for big empires. Trade steering is very powerful. For example, I believe what you can get much more money is Russia if you take trade ideas and not economic. I mean, yeah, for the second part right here, trade is like your first or second idea group as Russia in pretty much every gameplay, in pretty much every run, so I agree with that. Espionage and aristo are actually great, especially after the latest updates. I agree. I'm always using them. No. Once again, even though they're really good, they're still situational for me. So kind of like naval and maritime, even though espionage and aristo are up there. Aristo is actually great for cav-focused nations, so yeah. 100% occupying a nation should allow you to completely dismantle it, release everything you want, take anything you want, but annexation should cost more AE and dip post 100 war score. Yeah, man. Honestly, you know what? This would be something that's good, but you know, I don't know how I feel about this. You know what? Even Germany and Austria, you know, when they were beaten up twice, you know, a couple of decades ago, let's say, neither Germany nor Austria stopped existing. You know, Hungary, same thing, right? These nations still existed. You can't really make a country disappear. Where do those people go? In EU3, you can spend cultural tradition to hire any advisor you want instead of re-rolling over and over for the one you need in EU4. I wish that made a return. Haven't seen this opinion. Hard agree. Every advisor should always be available. Maybe they should cost more money or something like that to switch them out. Leader stats are awful for balance. They make up more than a third of your mana income, even with max advisors, and it's pure chance in most cases. Yeah, honestly, yeah, they are awful for balance, man, but lots of people don't like the mana system or the monarch point system. Once again, something relating to EU5, it's a 99% chance there won't be mana in EU5, something I don't actually want. I actually do like the monarch point system, so I'll be sad to see it go, but 99% it'll go. Allies in war should lose war score based on the amount of casualties they've taken. They already lose war score when they lose a battle. I guess that's sort of the same thing, but I get what you're saying, yeah. Byzantium should be able to form Rome with the provinces they had at their peak as Western Roman Empire. Maybe you mean as Eastern Roman Empire, but you know what? I agree. I agree with that. Even though it's pretty much the same thing. History nerds incoming in the comments. Well, you see, Byzantium was actually the Roman Empire. It makes no sense that they have a different name. In the game, they're different things, brah. Get over it. It's a video game. Playing tall is generally more fun than massively blobbing out. definitely a hot take. For me, I sort of agree. As a war leader, players should have the ability to direct AI allied armies and navies more than we currently do. Yes, I agree with this. Right now, the only option you have is like telling your vassals to be like siege or supportive or whatever, and basically telling the AI allies what province to siege, but you should definitely have more control over their armies, I feel like. Maybe not, I don't know. Alright, we got a long one here. I think EU4 has an identity crisis and is both too big and too small. Everything leading up to the religious league wars is so involved and has so much stuff around it that if you're playing anywhere else in the world, or if you don't interact with it, it's like you're playing a completely different game. Colonization is neat, but there needs to be a special mechanic for it in late game to just improve EU4's late game in general. Similar to the crisis system in Vic 2 and the league wars, there should be big events with colonial nations want to become independent. Big powers should be able to join either side, get events that send manpower and so on. Trade is a big mechanic, but unlike an economic game, you can't convert your raw materials into goods that other nations would want to buy and sell. He goes on to say, I don't trust Paradox anymore, but I think it would be better for them to make a game surrounding specific time periods instead of EU5, which would focus on a large period of time and make a game entirely about the religious league wars, trading and colonization during colonial era. Well, this isn't really a hot take or anything like that, like, you know, I asked in the post, but I guess this person is just airing out their grievances. But yeah, I do agree with some of these things. Not an identity crisis or being both too big and too small, but yeah, of course the focus will be mainly on the first half of the game, which is what most players play. That's why there's so few mechanics developed for the late game. Like a bunch of devs have said, it's just not a lot of people play in that time period, right? So there's no point in really doing stuff for it. Stability should affect how much land a nation should lose from a war. If your opponent is a -3 stab, you should be able to take way more from them than if they were at positive stability. You know what, this is actually a pretty cool idea. You should write that on the forums. Later parts of the game are much more fun than earlier ones. Well, this is definitely a hot take. And yeah, man, sure, you know, absolutism, revolutions and stuff like that, they are super fun. It's just, well, getting to them. This person says, the League War sucks and almost always is not worth it to participate. Just declare on one of the involved parties when the League War fires instead. I don't think it sucks. I definitely don't agree with this. I think it's pretty fun. We have Chewy here, says, innovative ideas are S tier and anyone who disagrees is an MP meta slave. Yeah, I touched on the innovative ideas earlier. I don't think they're S tier, but I do think they're really good and I really like them. And yeah, well, this is, well, you know, Chewy's opinions are his own. No, shout out Chewy though, that's my boy right there. AI should get some sort of fog of war since it's so annoying that they know where your armies are, but you don't know where their armies are. Yeah, this is true. The AI does not have fog of war. Yeah, maybe only Lucky Nation should have it. I don't know. When the rivals of your rivals rival you. Well, that's just straight up annoying. All right, we got another long-ish one right here. Unique mechanics should be based on religion, culture, region, government rank, or other parameters rather than specific tags. For example, forming ayalets should be possible for every Muslim nation with Turkish culture rather than the Ottomans alone. Doesn't Rum have it? Stardom with its mechanics should be possible for every Orthodox country with Russian culture and empire rank rather than Russia alone. I think you can get it with every East Slavic one. Same with special military units and shifts. My point is to make more nations more interesting and the mechanics more universal rather than restricting them to a couple of big boys like France, Spain, Ottomans, Russia, Prussia. Yeah, I sort of agree with this, that more than one nation should have a certain unique government form, but I don't think it should be that wide either, right? But yeah, sort of half agree, half disagree on this. This person says, having Tech 4 as a Chicago should make your units better than banners at Tech 3? Well, this is too specific for me, sorry. Trade is actually a really easy system to understand. Yeah, I agree. This is definitely a hot take that I agree a lot with. Just move your merchants, bruh. Put them here, see how much you make, then move them here, see how much you make. Wherever you make more, keep them there. It's as simple as that, without going into the nuances. This person says, I love using the border gore playstyle. I take the provinces I need, and I don't give a frick about how my borders are, to be honest. Stop with your clean borders. This is a hot take, definitely, at least for me. I don't enjoy the border gore playstyle. Maybe only when playing with hordes or going for a certain vast blobbing achievement where you need to, you know, snake around or do the tentacle things. But yeah, to each their own. I don't mind anyone playing like this. It's just I don't personally. I want them to stop developing EU4 because they're obviously out of ideas besides adding new fantasy mission trees. Well, that's definitely a hot take, especially for me. I don't want them to ever stop deving EU4. In fact, I wanted to go on forever. Oops, accidentally reloaded the page. Let's see where we're at. As you're about to play Montferrat in A to Z, which I just did, by the way. Awesome video. If you haven't checked it out, go and see it. My hot take is that PDX is not caring about accuracy. It's been 35 patches and Montferrat's capital city is still called Montferrat. despite not existing a city with that name. Should be Casale or Aquiterme, possibly the capital of that province. Man, that's really not caring. Listen, man, I'm not Italian. I don't know the specific of these things. I'm sure there are lots more provinces like this, but go complain on the forums. Maybe they'll listen to you. Colonization at the start is the most annoying feature of all in EU4. Definitely a hot take right there. I don't know if it's the most annoying feature, but yeah, kind of annoying, but not the most. Playing in the HRE isn't that great. I do like a few nations, but generally when you only border HRE nations, it's kind of repetitive. I get that it can be a bit tedious, yes, but personally I do enjoy playing in the HRE. EU4 is one of the most addicting games on the planet. Not a good thing. This is definitely a ice-cold take right there. We all know it's addicting. When your ally/subject AI leaves the siege at 42% to help you in a battle that you're already winning. Yes, even more annoying, leaving a siege at 99% to go beat up a 1k burger stack 300 miles away, dude. 7k rebels should not be able to spawn from an OPM that could only field 3k soldiers. I agree. I agree. This has been said a lot. I agree. Playing tall isn't boring at all. Once again, I agree. Late game EU4 is fun, actually, unless you spent the start of the game speedrunning on an unstable country. Yeah, I feel like we sort of touched on this, but yeah, I do enjoy the late game, even though I don't play that far. As long as my nation isn't that big. This person says, I think that the AI unilaterally fully focuses on the player, no matter size, context, or other threats. It's bad for the game and makes it far unrealistic and far less fun when you're a small nation. I feel like something like that shouldn't be across all difficulties of the game. I don't know if it used to be like this, but it definitely isn't like this now. Now the AI focuses on knocking out the weakest nations in a war. Of course, if it can get to them, right? So yeah, the easiest access, easiest to defeat nation. Does the AI expand towards you? Definitely. Rulers and heads of government should have some depth. It shouldn't be like CK3, but more like Imperator. Yeah, we touched on this earlier. There should be a little more depth in there. Not that in depth like CK3, but yeah, honestly, don't really know what the system is like in Imperator. Playing in India is very cool. I agree, it is very cool. EU4 is an easy game to play. Mission trees, estates, and reforms are OP and have dumbed the game down. I feel like it's harder than ever to get into EU4, but yeah, I guess once you get the hang of it, it's easy to start playing it. It's not that easy to learn all of it. 99% surrender chance. Oh, I know, don't even get me started. I had one a few days ago, dude. This person says, doing a mainstream game is more fun than anything in Europe because you don't care about your AE. Well, if you're focusing strictly on blobbing, sure, I guess, yeah. If that's your thing, yeah, this is honestly situational. I miss westernization, man. Okay, obviously a lot of you want most westernization back. Staying as a native is more fun than reforming into a horde monarchy republic. This is a hill I will die on. I don't know what to say about that. If you can reform real quick and, you know, get what you call it, like the things you can't get as a normal native, sure, I'm all about uniqueness, but yeah, if you're trying to reform, then definitely you need to swap to a horde. There should be no straight crossing mechanic. You must transport your troops via transport ships, even from one side of a strait to the other. This will make navies more relevant. Dude, honestly, I hate the fact that he's right, but he is. It will make the game super ultra annoying, but yeah, I agree. I have to say I agree. It'll be super annoying, but I agree. All right, we got another long one here. Colonize, don't declare independence. Enough. Agree. Aggressive expansion when there are only 2 or 3 large nations allied to each other in a region like Europe and India should make the larger nation become more domineering towards an ally. In my last game as Milan to Italy, me, HRE, Emperor Austria, and Great Britain with France and Spain as junior partners allied each other, divided Europe between us. After a while, Austria went insane and went having over 200 AE, annexed 90% of the HRE and formed Germany. Eventually, Austria and Germany finally surprised Great Britain. Great Britain could have easily crushed Austria or even pewed them at one point, but just let them run wild and never called them into a single war. Yeah, I agree. You know, this sort of does happen when your ally rivals you out of nowhere. I feel like the only way this stops is if you're their only available ally. But yeah, I do agree there should be some changes about this. Mandatory microing shouldn't be a thing. That goes for almost every other PDX game. Yes, dude, yes, definitely. You should be able to hand off control of armies to the AI, for sure. Colonial lands should not contribute to war score as much as is. Yep, I agree. You shouldn't get 25 war score for sieging an OPM Portugal while they have a million colonies, who still aren't declaring independence, by the way. Managing large multi-continental continents, empires maybe, and transporting troops everywhere is tedious and annoying, almost makes the game unplayable. Definitely not a hot take, but definitely something I agree with. The Colombian exchange should have a greater impact on the population, manpower, and S like that. I know this is an event. I really don't know what this is IRL. Sorry, you can let me know in the comments, though. Divine ideas are actually good. It's just not as amazing as a couple of other unique ideas. They're okay-ish. This is a hot take, definitely. The mandate of Heaven CB should be a one-time use per ruler. Also, recruiting an army should start at the minimum troops with no morale. I don't know if I agree with this second part right here. Actually, I don't agree with any of this. I don't agree with any of this. That's definitely a hot take, Mega Rayman Abel. Ottomans OP? Come on, dude. Westphalia is one of the best formables in Europe. No. No, come on, bruh. Come on. I'm not even going to say anything about that. The game should be more complex and detailed. I mean, I don't know if it's already pretty complex and detailed, but you can't have a simulation, bruh. Sorry. You should be able to trade provinces and peace treaties. Yes, this is definitely not a hot take, something people have been asking for years. It's just, how will the AI use this? How will it be used in MP? That's the thing. Although there should be two-sided peace deals, yeah. Kilwa is the most OP nation outside of Europe. You're much more powerful than our neighbors, have ample gold to fund your continental efforts to block off Europeans from the Indian Ocean, and will easily outscale everyone in East, South Africa, and South Asia with zero effort. The most difficult war you'll fight all game will be taking a chunks from Thick Vig. I don't know about the most OP nation outside of Europe. I would say about a dozen or so nations would like to have a war with that, but Kilwa is definitely really powerful and definitely underrated. Absolutism is worse than 18 plus estate privileges? You know what? I agree. I agree. Everyone always goes on and on about absolutism. You want to get absolutism, high absolutism, this and that. For what? For a world conquest? Yeah. But for a, you know, whatever goal game where you don't blub out that much, sure, it isn't really that relevant if you're not expanding a lot. Playing anywhere in Germany is super dull, repetitive, usually consists of shuffling diplomats, getting coalition, and getting steamrolled by bigger powers. Well, can't relate with this last one since I'm so good, but yeah, just kidding. Yeah, we sort of went through this with the HRE thing. Lots of people do feel like that. Personally, I don't. Discipline is overrated, just stack morale. Hell yeah. This person says, probably not a hot take, but the government capacity system is really boring and halts the game at some point. I don't want to concentrate development or build courthouses in every single province just so that I can state states and not get a penalty. I think Gulf Cap should be influenced by autonomy and not development. Yeah, the boys at Paradox, man, they've been having a hard time finding a balance, you know, with the unstated stuff that gave you corruption earlier, now with the Gulf Cap and stuff like that. I definitely didn't enjoy either of those mechanics, but, you know, there should be some sort of way to stop you from stating so many things. I don't know if this is the best option. This person says, every country has an objectively correct dynasty that one should endeavor to get on the throne if they don't start with them. For example, England, Plantagenets, Stuarts are also good, Florence, Medici, Milan, Sforza, Spain, Habsburg, Austria, Habsburg. Finally, if there's no obvious correct dynasty for the country, the correct dynasty is Habsburg. If in doubt, get a Habsburg in there. Now, what flag is this, bro? What flag is that? I can see what you're getting at, but chill there. Big Habsburg is paying him. AE isn't just a number? I agree. You should have full control of vassals and PU units during war and not let them wander around. Yeah, people are pretty divided by this, but I'm in the camp that I don't agree with this. I like letting those guys do the work. In fact, the most fun games for me are Vassal Swarm and PU Swarm games, so don't agree right there. Lithuania is better than Poland when it comes to the Commonwealth and missions? I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on this. I don't think so. The whole system with monarch power is stupid. I don't see how these magical monarch skills translate into a whole country developing new technology and also developing provinces should be done with ducats. Yeah, man, you're in the camp that hates monarch points. I don't. I touched on this already. Sorry. This person says, Austria is a better tutorial nation than the Ottomans. Admissions involve a better balance of conquest and diplomatic expansion. It also showcases how busted pews can be, and Ottomans don't have access to those if you play as them as normal. I don't know about it being a better tutorial nation than the Ottomans, man. Yeah, definitely, you know, with the new Ottoman mission tree, it's not just conquest, but it definitely does teach you the Dipple game. The Middle East needs some updates, DLC, not sure this is a hot take, just an observation. Yeah, well, luckily the next one is a Middle East DLC, so we're good on that front, bruh. Chill. And we're nearing the end right here. Colonization mechanic is dull right now. Despite colonialism being one of the major developments at the time, it should have more flavor and require more skill than just sending colonists and dealing with the same 5 events every couple of years. Also, decadence mechanic and similar disaster systems should be implemented for any great power if it stays at great power more than a century. Constant blobfest is getting really boring after a couple of runs. Yeah, we already touched on this. I do feel like something like this will be implemented in EU5. And as for this first part right here, I do agree it is kind of boring. This person says, innovative ideas suck. I made a post explaining my position and everyone went completely rabid. One person claimed that Prestige Decay was one of the most powerful modifiers in the game. Another said that Inno was the best first idea group for playing tall, those sort of things, and none of those wildlings convinced me. Inno ideas suck, and I'll never recommend them to someone looking for idea group suggestions. Well, you know, I feel like this is popular in the EU4 community. Hot take for me, like I already said, I don't hate them. There should be an option to keep drilling soldiers drilling when my nation is joining a war. My troops does not fear the enemy. But you can just select them and press J again. If you key map them, it's just control 1J. So yeah, this isn't really too annoying, I feel like. Micromanaging armies is time consuming and unrealistic. You should only have total control over your armies led by your king. All other armies should be controlled by AI with a pick list of stances or missions you can give them that pursue, just like a Vassal Swarm. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree, definitely. Lucky Nations shouldn't be required for Iron Man mode. Mission trees suck. They have a massive bias towards already powerful countries, thus making miners anywhere near those big countries extremely stressful to play. As someone who likes to play underdog playthroughs, you're talking to me. This really displeases me, but rather than feeling like you can outgrow the AI, you just feel outclassed. I like mission trees. That's all I have to say about that. And they give you a direction where to go with the country. Sure, I understand, you know, hating them when you're a miner next to a big guy, but yeah, I don't know. There should be a similar color CB when declared as just a 1v1 war no allies. I hate when my glorious Ulm must border Austria. I think there's a mod for this. EU2 is better than EU4. I'm just gonna stroll past that. Ottomans shouldn't be nerfed. Hard agree. In fact, they should be buffed even more. AI Ottomans have never been weaker. Streets are stupid. You can't cross from the Horn of Africa to the Arabian Peninsula or Iberian to Morocco IRL. I know, but IRL rulers don't have points either, do they? So it's a game. Ottomans need to be strong and blob out every patch. No other nation will cross the Bosphorus and stop Austria, Venice, and Europe will stagnate without the threat. Agree. Converting to Judaism shouldn't lock you out of the Ethiopian mission tree. This is too specific for me, honestly. Playing with Poland is fun at the start, but it becomes boring after. You know what? I agree. Iron Man mode is pointless? Yeah, pretty much, honestly. Alright, long one here. Every Caucasian culture nation should have mountaineers, but not Cossacks. Historically, Caucasians had settlers, free people, but when they were in mountains, but not steppes. If Russians had Cossacks, Georgians had mountaineers. Mountaineers were without noblemen and feudals. They were independent from clergy. Aldermen, loyal mountaineers give you a discount. Yeah, this is definitely something you should post on the forums that, you know, maybe the devs will take into account for the next, you know, Middle East, even though it's not really the Middle East, it's Caucasia, but sort of in that region around Persia, you know. Colonialism is a trash gameplay mechanic. I wouldn't say trash, but it could be better. Sardinia Piedmont color is disgusting? Bruh. I'm just playing. Cavalry is overrated. I feel like it's underrated. Austria is boring? Blasphemy. Playing as Castile with the colonial game is boring as frick. Generally going colonial is boring. Yeah, we've already said colonialism is pretty boring. Native gameplay in the Mesoamerican and Inti region should be massively overhauled. These places have really interesting and complex histories, and EU4 just does not do them justice. I agree. Luckily, the devs have already said, I think, that they'll touch this region again. And that about concludes all the hot and cold takes we had for today, ladies and gentlemen. What are your hot takes if you didn't get to post them right here? You know, comment in the comments below. Maybe it was something you didn't see right here that you think is noteworthy, and I'll go through your comments and read them, and maybe we'll do another video a couple of months down the line. But yeah, those were your hot takes and cold takes. Like I said, I told you which I agree with, which I disagree with, which aren't really hot takes or are popular or unpopular in the community. And I feel like it was pretty cool to hear your guys' opinion on, well, everything we went over today. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm happy to say that this video, where I went through your hot takes, has been a success. And yeah, let me know in the comments too if you want to see more videos like this that involve the community and stuff like that. If you want to watch me do stuff like this live, you can follow me on twitch.tv/RoyHawkLive, and if you want to catch up on stuff from over there, you can subscribe to the second channel. Link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.